if they're.
No, I'm sorry.
Number two.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Calling the Committee on Finance regular meeting to order Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 5:04 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you kindly read the roll?
Chairwoman Ryan,
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Castillo,
Present.
Councilman Narducci is absent, Councilwoman Anthony,
Present.
Councilman Taylor,
Here.
we have 4 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum.
Okay. Could you please, Madam Clerk, read the first item into the record?
An ordinance establishing a tax stabilization agreement for 321 Knight Street LLC.
Okay, who do we have here on this matter?
We have Mr. Heenan.
Family says right here, please swear to swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Nicholas Heenan, I'm the attorney for 320 Main Street, LLC, Darrow Everett, 1 Sunset Place, Providence, Rhode Island.
Mr. Clerk, could you shut that AC off? I can't hear.
Sure.
Thank you kindly. Is there a substitution for this item? Did I hear there was a substitution? So why don't we do the business of getting that substitution in? Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion? Wait till my committee has the. You gave me 2. Okay, let's call this Sunday. Motion to call the document substitution A that has been presented by the clerk to the entire committee and council people. Motion made by Councilwoman Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilwoman Anthony. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So we have item 1 is substituted. Mr. Heeman, what would you like to do on this matter? I understand there's some more
Sure,
work to
yeah,
be
so I
done.
believe that they just want some more time for fiscal note, which is fine with us.
Okay.
If you want to continue that, that's the committee's pleasure. There's no problem there. This project has been around for a bit. Lengthy process in planning and zoning. Then it was tied up on a zoning appeal, which we resolved in principle. We went back to the zoning board, the planning commission, and revised it and kind of increased the size of the project, but nothing being held up certainly by that. So
Okay.
we're fine with the continuance if that's what the pleasure of everyone involved.
Okay. Councilwoman Anthony.
I was just going to ask before I just was curious about the change, the amendment. Why?
So as I understand, Councilwoman, that amendment was requested from the internal auditor to have language that has since become standard, I guess, being standardized going forward, to have that sentence about a certificate of occupancy within a particular period of time. I think what you see here is actually more than you actually need to see. So I had drafted what's in blue, including what was lined out, and then the internal auditor didn't feel that lined out section was appropriate, but I think it just makes it look like that was in there before, and it's not. You just see, I think, the red line of my red line at that point. But I guess this is language that's now in the TSA going forward, so if you wanted to add it in, we have no problem with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Anthony. Can I, Mr. Clerk, do you have a fiscal note on this item? I'd like to entertain a motion to enter this fiscal note, attach it to the sub A as exhibit A.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by
Oh, second.
Councilwoman Anthony. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, so the substitution has a fiscal note associated with it. At the request of the petitioner, I'd like to request that we continue this item because they're saying, would you like to speak, Councilman Vargas? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Chairperson. Council,
Yes, sir.
are they on time paying this tax? They haven't got behind?
This property?
Yes, this property.
Sure, yeah, so he's up to date with his.
Is up to
payments.
date?
Why don't we have the administration answer that question? Is there someone from the administration, Mr. Mancini, or please present yourself. Please swear, Mr. Clerk, would you swear in?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please say your name and title for the record.
Sarah Silveira, Finance Director.
Thank you. Councilman Vargas, you had a question if they were paid up to date on their taxes, is that the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, according to our tax collector, they are up to date on their property taxes.
On the property, even that they got behind on the project, they on time paying
Yes.
the tax.
This property, it was a public hearing, I think this was the one, this property had not been paying any taxes. It was behind, and so when he acquired it through the PRA and everything, it got back on the tax rolls and started paying again. It had only paid like $11,000 worth of taxes or something like that, and so at the conclusion of this, paying a full year based on the numbers we presented at the public hearing, $165,000 at full taxation. You get $855 change or so, $855,000 taxes paid over the life of the agreement versus, I think the numbers we had was, it'll pay about $77,000 during that same period if there's no development, so. It'll be a good project for the city and the developer who does a lot in that area, and work closely with the neighborhood association on the design of the building, because it's going to be in a very prominent corner there. Make sure it'll be capable and one nice with the surrounding area.
Councilman, so your question has been answered. Do you have further questions on this? Because we'd like to continue this as opposed to talking about the matter. It's not complete, if that's okay with you?
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Chairwoman.
No problem. Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue because the petitioner has expressed that there's more work to be done on this. The city is going to work with the petitioner and again, thank you. Motion made by Vice Chair, seconded by Councilman Anthony. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. This item is continued. Thank you very much, Mr. Heeman, for joining us on that item. Okay. Could you please read item 2, Madam Clerk, into the record?
An ordinance amending a tax stabilization agreement for RCG Armory Parkview LLC located at 35 Parade Street, 41 Parade Street, 12 Oak Street, and 19R Willow Street.
Okay, who is here to speak about this? Mr. Heeman?
Yeah.
Wonderful, you're all sworn in. Anybody from the administration like to join the table? Come back. Director Silveria, you've already been sworn in, so we're good to go. Mr. Heeman?
So this is a tax stabilization that was recently approved by the council. When they took it to the bank, we realized that because it had been pending so long, it had been pending, I think, for almost 2 tax years, that when we passed it, we probably should have amended it then to start in 2021 when it passed, as opposed to 2019, I think is written in the ordinance. So it passed, and there were 2 tax years that had gone by. Meanwhile, the agreement wasn't in place. So the amendment fixes that. I worked with Mr. Budway on that, We thought the best way to do that would be to come back before the council to approve it since it's an ordinance. And then in the meantime, the lots have been merged, so now there are different lot numbers, so.
Okay, we have a substitution on this item as well. Mr. Clerk, could you kindly pass out the substitution so the committee has in front of them the document that's being discussed, the most recent version? Thank you, sir.
And then an amendment from today, while we were at it, we put that same language, to request the internal auditor into it for the 16 lot.
Okay, let's get this substitution, in front of us. May I have a motion to accept the substitution for item 2? Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by
Second.
Councilman Anthony and Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. We have a substitution before us. Okay. So you were explaining that this was already approved by the council. There was some delay, and you basically are amending dates and updating some of the language to comport with the existing PSA language, correct?
Correct, yeah, we just changing the tax years to start when it actually was passed.
All right. Madam Auditor, have you reviewed this?
Yes, that,
Okay. No issues, concerns that you might have with this?
nope, we added the language in for the certificate of occupancy within 4 years that, he has already explained.
Okay.
Other than that, no?
It's already approved. Okay. Director Silverio, do you have any concerns on this topic? Okay, wonderful. With that, any questions from the committee members, council members? Please let the record reflect, Mr. Clerk, that Councilman Vargas has joined us as well. I apologize, Councilman, for not recognizing you right away.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions. May I entertain a motion to approve the substitution of item 2?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Item 2 is substituted and approved. All right?
I have just a procedural question, because I
Sure.
know the same thing on this tomorrow. It's an amendment of an ordinance, it would have to pass twice, right? It would just pass once because it's an amendment.
Madam Clerk, Mr. Clerk.
It has to pass twice.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought. Very good. Thank you.
Still an ordinance. Still an ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Okay, what do we have? Item 3, please. Could you read that one into the item? Thank you, Mr. Neal.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Council.
Thank you, Director Silverio. Item 3, please. Could you
An
read that
ordinance-
into the record?
An ordinance relating to Article 4, Chapter 17, Section 17-192F of the Code of Ordinances, Disability Waiver Request, Alfred Scovola.
Okay, I have been asked to continue this matter, because Mr. Scovola was not able to join us this evening. So I'd like to entertain a motion to continue item 3.
Chairwoman, you're aware of the correction.
Motion to continue item 3 made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Anthony, Councilwoman Anthony and Taylor. All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Clerk, for the clarification. We'll fix that next time around.
Sure.
Okay. All right, what do we have? Item 4, please read that into the record.
Discussion relative to the capital improvement plan projects, including but not limited to all other funding. The following has been invited. Demo Roberts, Director of Public Property.
Okay? Mr. Roberts? How are you?
Hi, sir.
Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say your name and title for the record.
Demo Roberts, Director of Public Property.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us again. We wanted to continue this conversation, because obviously there's a lot of money at stake, and we just wanted to update from you. Last you were here, we asked you for a plan to go forward. We wanted to see some movement. And I've invited you back to tell us what you've done since the last time we spoke.
All right, so, we spoke on, project management.
Yep.
We are in the process of trying to hire project management and also use the line items to have OPM for all projects.
Okay, you need to say that again because I didn't hear you cut out at the
Can I?
end. Sure you can, yes, thank you.
So we are in the process of hiring 2 project managers for these projects.
Yeah.
Also, we have a CIP line item for OPM. We are also exploring that to have project management for all projects, CIP projects.
Thank you very much. For my committee's clarification, the 2 PMs are out of our general fund. They were approved through our budget, so just want to make sure everybody knew that. Mr. Roberts has also indicated that you are in the process of trying to bring on an OPM, which is a line item as part of the CIP, correct? Which is wonderful. Thank you, we're happy to hear that. For the council's, the committee members, base of knowledge, for those who were not with us when we had entertained this CIP and we approved this, a project manager we felt was critical as an oversight authority to make sure that these projects move forward, they were on time, they were run efficiently, taxpayers' dollars were spent effectively. We felt that OPM would help make sure that there was efficiencies in, awarding contracts, managing contracts. So that's the reason that that line item is in there, 8.5 million, correct? 8.5 million. So we're very much conscious of that, and we're going to be looking for that. So thank you for, coming forth with that and stating that on the record. We appreciate it. That is a priority for the council. How are we doing on some of these projects?
We have movement. So looking at some of these projects, we do have some movement, but we are also gearing up to plan to be proactive and not reactive to some of these projects. So going through public works and other projects, we're coming to the end of the season, but the goal now is to really kind of procure these projects so that we can hit the ground running in the spring. I know there were concerns about a few projects that were named the last time I was here, like the Elmwood Community Center. So I wanted to address that, if you don't mind. So
Actually, before you continue, there were a couple of questions. There was the Elmwood Community Center, there was Camp Cronin, still being in the project list when we felt as though it shouldn't be there. And then a summary of rec centers.
Yes.
So those were the 3 items that you walked away with some to-dos on. So
Sure.
please continue.
So Camp Cronin, I'll attack that right now. That was a typo. It was removed. The line item was shifted to a police training facility. So we have done some work on that. We are completed. We did have some savings in that project, but the police academy is currently being used now. I think they're coming to the end of the first academy and looking to add another one, so it's been used since April.
Well, let the record reflect that we have Solicitor McHugh is also with us. I saw her hand go up and I thought.
Oh, no, I was just stretching that.
I
Yeah,
didn't think
thank
her
you.
arm was that long. Yes, please. Madam Moran.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Demo, there was 1.75 million set aside for Camp Cronin. How much did you spend in the police training facility?
So, the line item was the same, as you said. We spent just under $200,000 to get that project done.
That the police training facility doesn't need more, or?
So, it could use more. With my evaluation, it looked as if $1.7 million wasn't fully enough to buy a new building to accomplish what they wanted. And also to, what was being proposed, just the numbers didn't really add up. I know there was an urgency to get the, academy going, so I utilized the footprint of what we've already had, that was in our portfolio. So the goal was open the academy, something that can give us between about a 5-year buffer to then figure out exactly what we needed to do. We can add on to that, and continue using that fund, or we can think of shifting. But given the urgency of getting the academy done, that was the decision to get a classroom, get some storage they needed, get a simulation room, and other things that was requested by the police department.
So is I'm sorry, are you done? Okay. Is the CIP updated to reflect that change in the plan? You said it was a typo. We were surprised to see Camp Cronin on the project list.
Yes, so
I just want to make sure that the project work identifies what was spent on the police academy. Okay.
Yes, it does.
All right.
I have it on a live dashboard, but I can certainly provide.
So what happened with the difference between the 200,000 and the 1.7?
So it's still there, for potentially reallocation, but it hasn't been touched yet.
So I don't need to continue harping on this, but that's exactly why we want a project manager, so that when there's underspending or overspending, that we know about it ongoing, as opposed to finding out about it months later. We want to see where the money is being spent, what it's being spent on, and that spending needs to be transparent, not only for the council, but for the public, that is looking to see how we're spending these dollars. Okay, thank you on that. So that's Camp Cronin. Talk about, Elmwood, Community Center. Yes.
I'm so sorry, before we go on.
Councilwoman Anthony, please continue.
Do we have to approve that transfer of the 200K from one project to the next? It's just a question.
Solicitor?
I'm not exactly 100% sure of that. I mean, we still, I haven't seen that budget. Is the budget for that particular, is it budgeted separate for each one, or is the budget a pool of money and then it gets divvied up for each one?
So, it depends when this all transpired. Mr. Mancini, CFO, would you like to opine on this? Please swear him in.
You swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Lawrence Mancini, Chief Financial Officer. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So it's my belief, and I'm sure that it follow best practices, that while the funding source is not general fund, because it was funded from a bond issue, the subscription to and the adherence to proper procurement would follow. So I would think that in that light, even as we would make changes, particularly if they're of sizable amounts, material amount, that they should in fact be presented to the committee, and then they should be put by the council. They could be held in abeyance until perhaps other changes have been identified and further consideration before this committee, and that all at one time, and within a reasonable period, you would take up all those changes. Otherwise, they would be back here,
Yes.
I think,
Yep.
once a week. But I do think that while we could keep the auditor informed on a business-like basis, we would probably come before this committee when all changes have been identified and come before us and say, in grand total, here's the detail, and I think we should do that to preserve the record. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mancini, thank you on that, but I think I remember removing it. So, we've had a lot of time on this. Again, another reason why we need a project manager. But it is important to track these funds coming and going and approving it if we're making changes. Madam Auditor, do you have any clarification?
I do. There was not a line item in the 20 to the 25 CIP. Did the administration update it to show a line item for the police academy in 22 to 26, which is currently pending in committee? Has that change been made?
I'll defer to Mr. Roberts, because I'm not familiar with the document.
I don't think it has after my review, but it needs to be. It is currently in committee, Councilwoman. So I think that's a change. And again, the administration needs to determine how much money is supposed to be there for the academy. Is it the 1.75, is it 500? But you need to get approval to reallocate that out from the
I would
council.
agree.
So let's look at the CIP, let's look at all the projects. What was presented to us last week appeared to have some concerns or some issues, as we've just expressed. Let's make sure that everything is in the right place, and if we need to bring the document back for approval, I think it's time. We lost a lot of time with the pandemic. You said yourself there hasn't been a whole heck of a lot of movement, which is a shame. But we've got to get these projects back on track. We've got to get them moving. We've got to get contracts out. And if the documents need to be changed, we need to make those changes. All right? So let's just please work with the auditor. Mr. Mancini, if you can help us in any way, apart from the administration, to make sure that we're all on the same page here and the document is the most updated document that is before this committee. All right. Are we good on that? Mr. Roberts, please continue.
So next was the Elmwood Community Center.
Yes.
The Elmwood Community Center was out for bid, I want to say about a couple of months ago, maybe not quite. We did have some bids back. I rejected all bids because of flaws I saw in the information that was put out there. We have now repackaged with the architect, and we're proposing it go back out for bid on the next meeting, the next Board of Contract and Supply meeting. This is where we are, and we missed it by 1 day, so in about 2 weeks, we should have it out.
Okay. Committee members, any questions on that? Okay. Please. Councilman Vargas.
How many candidates do you have for that position?
So,
For the
contract.
for the project manager?
for the project manager.
Do you have some candidates already? That
We do. We do have some
do
candidates.
you interviewing something?
We are.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you. Please continue.
And I believe that was the last project that I had some homework on.
Rec centers.
Rec center. What we would like to do, we're not quite there yet. We're still going through some assessments of all of the rec centers to make sure, I know some work was done, some continued, so we'd like to have the ability to just double check and make sure everything is complete.
Okay, so when we looked at this CIP for approval, we had an audit of every single rec center that was presented to the council with a laundry list of things that needed to be attended to. Some were code issues, some were safety issues. I think we also spoke about security cameras and the like, security systems. Where is that? What have we accomplished? Where are we on that list? So that's what we're looking for. So if you could put that summary together, that was asked for us our last committee meeting, and we haven't had too much time in between. So certainly understand that, but please get that list to our auditor for review. Madam?
2 minutes, I give them some background.
Please. Madam Auditor.
Demo, and for you to understand or the frustration of the council, I believe it was 2018, 19, 20, that 2 years, the first year we got funded. I worked with Matt, and we had a whole list of projects based on a 400,000 CDBG building assessment of the entire city. So we're going back at least 4 years. So you have to understand the frustration. We already had the assessment. We knew it had to be done. We funded for it. Nothing's getting done. So that's part of the frustration. It's been a long time, okay? And I know you haven't been here. I just want you to understand the frustration.
Right. Thanks for clarifying. I mean, totally understood.
That's where the frustration is coming from, and that's what we expressed to you at the last meeting. Thank you, Madam Auditor. We're not gonna harp on, we're not gonna continue, but, nothing is moving, it's not right. We've got the money, we bonded for it, we've approved the projects, we've got council people in the field that have met with countless number of community members, looked at countless plans and proposals and project, changes have been made, and we want to see the work done. So please continue your efforts to move this forward. Committee members, any questions, concerns? Anyone else? All right, so I'm not going to call you back in the next few days. I'm going to give you some time, but we're running out of time. So I'd like you to meet with the auditor. If you need something to move this project, these projects along, you need to come back to the council and tell us what it is you need. We have to understand why nothing is getting done, okay? Our streets need to be paved, our sidewalks need to be fixed, our rec centers need to be fixed.
Elmwood Community Center has to be.
Elmwood Community Center.
I don't want to express myself because I feel like, really angry now.
We're all upset, we're all frustrated. Okay, I think we beat that one up. What else, folks? I think that's all we have on this docket. Anyone else have any questions, concerns they'd like to voice at this point? Ask? Okay. With that, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Councilman Taylor, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have it.